Hey guys, it's Austin here from Retroverse, and today we're going to be doing a retrospective on the original Xbox. Now, the original Xbox came out, I think, November 15th, 2001, 3 days before the GameCube, which is kind of funny. The original Xbox was originally supposed to be a PC called the DirectX, but then Microsoft got into the console business and changed the name down to Xbox, which is a lot more simpler. This thing is huge. This thing is 8.5 pounds. It's really heavy. But the reason it's so heavy and so big is because what is inside of it is PC components, such as, the hard drive and all that stuff. On the back, it's got your regular component cable. Kind of like the PS2 fat cord, so that this cord is relatively easy to find. And then here, every original Xbox was built in with an Ethernet adapter, which means right out of the box, online play, just like that. Kind of like the Dreamcast, but a lot more efficient and a lot more usable. Now, when this came out, many people asked, will it have DVD support? Yes, of course, it will have DVD support. By the way, you gotta buy these. You gotta buy this stuff. And they told everyone last second, so it's kind of a big flaw on their part. Fun fact about it, the first person to sell the console was Bill Gates himself. Not like he rang the customer up to the cashier, he took the man's money, put it in the cash register, gave him the Xbox. He was the first one to sell the Xbox, and that was pretty cool. I do know that they had a huge public celebration almost around the day of the launch, considering it was about a month after 9/11. If you don't know, 9/11 has scarred America psychologically in terms of what it did. So, with having such a big public event, that was pretty big and pretty cool. Now, this is the controller, or the Xbox Controller S, as it's called. This was the original controller launched in Japan, but the original controller, called the Duke, which I do not have right now, was really huge. It was so much bigger. It was one of the things that kept them out of Japan, at least. One of the things. It's not a terribly bad designed controller, in my opinion, because I own the Hyperkin Duke controller for the Xbox One, which I just got, which I do plan to do a review on soon. But this is basically like the Xbox 360 controller. Now what's cool is, yeah, there's no shoulder buttons, but it's got the white and black signature buttons that they went with. I don't know why. Then the start and pause buttons, the start and select are right here in the corner, which is really weird at first, but you get used to it. Now, one thing they did, which was really good, they had memory cards built into the controller, like a memory card slot, like the Dreamcast controller. But they put the wire on top, not in the bottom of the controller, which is awesome. Now, one big thing that the Xbox did do was really bring online play home a lot more. And with Xbox Live being made around 2005, I believe, I can't exactly remember, not 2005, 2002 or something like that, it blew up. It became excessively popular. This is the second most selling console of the 6th generation, second to the PlayStation 2, which sold over 150 million units, while the GameCube sold 22 million, the Xbox sold 24 million, and the Dreamcast at such a low 10 million units. But what can you do? But I really, with my personal experience with the Xbox, this thing is, despite its size and its look, it's awesome. This thing has great graphical capabilities. Even with the AV cables, they look amazing on a small screen TV such as this, and it's just outstanding. Like, the graphics are so much better than games you would get on the PS2. Multi-platform games looked so much better on here than they did on the PS2, and that is awesome. And Microsoft made the best decision because of couch party play. 4 controller ports. That is perfect. But with PlayStation, gotta get a multi-tap, and that sucks. But no, there's a lot of variants of the Xbox. There's a Mountain Dew one. There's this Halo limited edition one. There's the original black one. I only have this one. There's the Panzer Dragoon one, which is excessively rare. There's EA Sports limited edition. There's so many. There's even an ultra rare orange Halo limited edition Xbox. It's exactly like this, but it's orange. And there is an original Xbox that had Bill Gates' signature on it, saying "Good work, boys." That was given to his staff. Now, with the Xbox, Sega had really supported it, considering with the Dreamcast they had it was compatible with Microsoft's Windows CE, which allowed it to go online and have a web browser, yada yada yada. And so Xbox learned enough, like, you know what, I think we learned enough to where we can make our own console. And boom, they did it, and they're in the market even today with the Xbox Series X. I'm not going to review that because I don't have it, and I don't have the PS5, so... But this was their first chance at a game market, basically, other than the Dreamcast. And they did okay for the 6th generation, but they did awesome for the 6th generation, actually. But when it came to the 7th generation with the 360 and the PS3 and the Wii, they did amazing. Because one day, his staff team brought him a beefed up Xbox with emulators and all that stuff, and, you know, downloaded content. They're like, we have to sue these guys, we have to go after them. And then Bill Gates just sat there and said, why? This is amazing. And that is why the man is so smart. See, people had emulated arcade games into this thing and other things like that with this hard drive. The hard drive is never ending, by the way, so you never need memory cards. But with this, it is basically a huge emulator. This is probably the best emulator device that you can get. And modded Xboxes, I wouldn't say you shouldn't get them, but you should, but you shouldn't at the same time. They're really common nowadays. Most people you know with an original Xbox is probably going to have it modded, but you never know. That's not the case with me. But speaking of Sega, let's move on to a couple of the games. By a couple, I mean some of my favorites. Let's see here. Now, Sega was a really big part of the Xbox, and when it launched, they had given us a good amount of games that were only allowed on Xbox, and that is Sega GT 2000 and Jet Set Radio Future. Now, these are amazing games. Jet Set Radio, or Jet Grind Radio, is basically the exact same one on the Dreamcast, just buffed up and just different. That's as much as I can put about it. And Sega GT 2000 is exactly like Sega GT on the Dreamcast, but it's a much better looking game. Not better playing, in my opinion, but it's still just as good as a game. Now, the Xbox had a lot of first-person shooters. Formidably, like Halo. I'm not particularly the biggest fan of Halo, but when it comes to the couch co-op play and multiplayer, that is something I can get behind. Halo isn't a bad series, but I think that the first one is the better one out of all of them. And here is Halo 2. These are probably the best-selling games on the console. You can find these for like $5 at like a video game store or online on like Lukey Games or something like that. They're both really good games, but I prefer the first one a lot better. Although the second one has the best graphics, the first one to me just has the better story and gameplay. The Xbox had a really big amount of games. Formidably, like I said, the first-person shooters, but when Gran Turismo was released for the PS2, they thought, we should do something like that. And they gave us Forza Motorsport, which is still even today, a good game with Forza Motorsport 7 and even Forza Horizon being Xbox only games. Really good. When this came out, well, when I got this, I should say, I was kind of expecting it to be just like Gran Turismo, but man, so much better. It's an amazing game. It's got 2 players. The Xbox, the graphics for this look amazing. One thing I forgot to mention about the Xbox is the system link. You can hook up 4 systems and get 16 players, which is awesome. Maybe not on just one TV, but just awesome. The graphic capabilities of this thing were extreme. Like, the most that this thing could put out to, the best resolution, was from 480p to 1080i. Not like how the PS2 does 1080i, but this thing does amazing 1080i, especially with Enter the Matrix, which is not an amazing game, and I don't want to talk about it. But the next game is Fable. If you know Fable, you know exactly how much fun Fable is. It's kind of got your open world, like you make a choice and there's always a consequence. Making a bad choice, making a good choice, you don't know. And when you can be good or evil, and when you be evil, it gets really evil. Now, even though it's an M-rated game, it does have really cartoony graphics, but that doesn't make it a bad game. This game is actually quite enjoyable once you can get past that and the first part of shovelware. But only came out on Xbox. This is probably the better one. I wouldn't mind Fable 2, but I prefer this one the better. And the next one, which since I'm a very big fan of the FPS series, I like Doom, and I like Bethesda, and Activision and ID Software, lesser extent Activision with Call of Duty, and that is Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I am a big Wolfenstein fan, and I saw this, and it was $5, and I'm like, okay, I'll get it and see what it's like. I didn't like it at first, from first impressions. I shortly turned it off, but then when I got bored and I ended up playing it, I actually really enjoyed this. It's like your typical Wolfenstein game with like the Nazis trying to take over the world and all that stuff, but nonetheless, this game is amazing. It looks good. It plays good. The gameplay is spectacular. Now, for the strategy kind of games, first-person kind of games, there's Delta Force Black Hawk Down, which I would say is good. It's more of a tactical man's Call of Duty. There's no autosaves, so you have to save yourself. And what is a very cool part to this game when you went online was that the game allowed 50 players to play online with you at once. And it says there are 16 breathtaking single-player missions, 4-player split-screen co-op. So you should have a lot of fun playing this game. This game is actually kind of tough for me, and it's a very enjoyable game that I still haven't beaten, but I plan to soon. Now, the Xbox's RPG library was kind of on and off, like I said, with Fable and all that stuff, but it did have good games like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Republic 2 with Jade Empire, made by BioWare, who make Dragon Age nowadays and stuff like that. And probably the best Star Wars game on the console has to be Star Wars Battlefront. I don't care what anyone says about the second. I like the first one the most. Well, no, not entirely. I love the second one the most, but the first one is just as good. It doesn't matter what one you get. The second one just has more features and more DLC and all that stuff, and there's flight missions, and it's so much fun. Now, what's cool is that in case anyone knows about the Unreal Engine 3 that they use on most games, like they did with Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, it all really started here with Unreal Championship. Now, there's kind of Now, this kind of gets confused a little bit with Unreal Tournament for the Dreamcast, which is kind of the same game. Um, but this game is good. This game is exactly like Quake. It's just as good. It's so much fun. Not even a waste of time. And what's funny is that it was developed by Atari, which is awesome. Nonetheless, it's a really cheap game. You should get it. It's so much fun, so much action, so much gameplay. It's basically non-stop, and the gameplay is just so smooth, so fast, and stuff like that. And it's really good at that. The Xbox, I mean, especially so to where, you know, it usually gets bad games, and one really bad game that I actually really enjoy has to be Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball. Yeah, this was the only game, this was only released on the Xbox. Sorry, tongue twister. It's really only one player. There's the system link capabilities. Now it can hook up to HD TV and put out to 480p. It had online capabilities. There's tournament modes. You get money. You make a team. It's really a lot of fun, and it's really cheap. I only got this for $1 right there. But it's a really fun game and really cheap. Now, probably my favorite game for the Xbox, hands down, has to be The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. And if you've played this game, you know, this is amazing. This compares nothing. This is nothing like the new Elder Scrolls games that we see today, like Oblivion, Skyrim, and The Elder Scrolls Online, which really are good games. I like Oblivion the most out of Skyrim and Oblivion. But Morrowind is just the better game. Like, as soon as you start, it's go wherever, free roam. It's open world. You set your fate. You set your destiny. And there's so much to do in the game. There's better quests. There's so much to do. There's a journal system, which you will need in order to keep up with the game and the missions. But nonetheless, if you played this game, you know this game is time consuming. I have played this game for so long, and it's never gotten boring. I've played it through so many times, but it's always such a hard game to beat because you have to level up so much, and there's just all this stuff that's in the game that is so amazing and fun. But the graphics are not great, like you wish they were or would be. They look like really cheap PlayStation graphics, but with the resolution of the Xbox, they come out perfectly clean on either an HD television over there that I have hooked up, or even an old flat screen HD TV. Still amazing, still good, still a good game. Graphics don't defy the gameplay, as most of us know. And yeah, that's just about it on the original Xbox as a whole. Probably my next video will be on the Sega Genesis, which I do plan to get done in about a week's time. I know I was gone for a while, but that's because of the holidays, and I wish everyone had a good holiday. And now that we're in 2021, we can have a much better year. And thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.